out of 16 people testing at the comic strip that year that Tracy Morgan was on. And so this is a story that a lot of people don't know. I get the call 36 hours before from Marcy Klein. Listen, I've talked it over with Lorne. He wants to cut the show down to 15 people. He thinks 16 is too many. We've decided that
one guy's 7
we're going to
minute
cut
set.
one guy's 7 minutes set, and we've decided that Tracy Morgan is the weakest link on the show, and we're going to cut him from the show. So back then, you know, you don't have email, you don't have anything. You just have the calls, the faxes, the messengers, and I was calling and faxing and messengering notes, letters saying you can't do this.
Thank God he now has a doorman in his building that can relay a message.
That's right.
Because of you. If not, you would have had to gone up to Spanish Harlem and said, has anyone seen Tracy? Yo, Tracy! There's a Jewish man out here for you. That's our 5th black man, I believe.
So I just kept...
It's a drinking game on the Mohr Stories Podcast.
Kept faxing and calling and faxing and calling and messengering notes, different notes.
You know, because when I think of Tracy Morgan and his timeline of success, I think fax. something about Tracy Morgan huddled over a fax machine just doesn't really... Yo, check my email. I'm expecting that important fax from Quincy Jones. I got Quincy Jones' daughter pregnant.
Anyway, so...
And then
but
Tracy's more of an abacus guy.
Yeah, so I'm just...
Chalk on the sidewalk. You just write down in someone's driveway and hope he walks past it. Tracy, call me Barry. While he's playing double dutch in the streets of Harlem. Oh, shit! Someone left me a message! A fucking carrier pigeon lands on his shoulder with a Barry Katz note tied to its little red foot. Caw, caw!
So, just backtracking a little bit, when I told Tracy that he was getting the test for SNL and it was going to be the comic strip, his first response was, yo, B, I ain't never worked in a white comedy club in my life. I've never worked for white people. But I said, you're going to come to my office every day, we'll prepare.
And you'll never not work for them ever
That's right.
again.
And we'll go over a set and over again. We practiced. Anyway, so when Marcy made that call and I was faxing and writing, I never told Tracy.
Can't get over faxing.
I never
Tracy
told
Morgan.
Tracy at all that was happening. I never told him.
Did you know whether or not he had an actual fax machine before you decided to inundate him with faxes?
Oh, it's SNL. Of course they had the fax machine.
No, did Tracy have a fax machine?
No, it was me faxing SNL.
I thought you were faxing Tracy.
No. I was trying to get it reversed. And so finally I got the call at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Barry, these letters and these faxes and these messengers, you know, and these calls. Forget it. We'll just keep him on the show. We'll keep him on the show. And so they kept him on the show. He went on third. He did an amazing job.
Best hitter hits third, people.
And
then,
then
that also puts us in the sports category. Your best hitter hits third.
And then he went to...
do you know why your best hitter hits third, Cohen?
Yes, so you can load the bases first. Oh, no. I thought your best hitter would hit fourth, right?
Your cleanup hitter hits fourth. Your best hitter hits third to ensure that he always gets up in the first inning. That way he'll always get that one extra at-bat in a 9-inning game. All right, sorry.
That's okay. So
I hope we passed Boomer and Carton with that info just then.
And so then he went to 30 Rock, and I remember there were 2 other black comedians testing against him. One was a client of mine at the time, Maceo.
Remember Maceo?
And the other one was Royale Watkins, who now owns a club called the Parlor Live in Bellevue, Washington.
Now, Washington State?
Yes.
I wouldn't think that would be where like a guy like Royale would land. Here's the thing with Maceo, for the listeners, I'll remember Maceo was an incredible mimic, did great voices, great impressions of races of people. Like he could do a Jewish guy, a French guy, he could do Caribbean, very high energy black act. You definitely don't want to follow Maceo. He was a very great, entertaining guy. Is that? Would you agree with that assessment?
And he had this great routine where he did every character of the table in that Nutty Professor movie, you know, with Eddie Murphy. It was amazing.
I've heard of it, the movie. And Royale Watkins is more like a super smooth, like a gorgeous black kid. Like this kid had like NBA model good looks, always had a beautiful dime on his arm, and I don't really know much of his act, but I remember he was very easy on the eyeballs. He was like a really gorgeous kid, right?
Yeah, he was smooth.
Not JB smooth.
No.
Okay. So those 3 black acts of yours. So they're essentially competing against each other.
Competing
Because
against
it's not like
each other.
SNL is going to go 4 new cast members, all black, scoreboard.
But Tracy got the gig, and it was an amazing thing. And I read his book, and it was very flattering. He credited me in the book, and he told that story, and which was nice.
So you still have no idea, to go all the way back, what happened in the 3 days between Tracy Morgan crying and a day is, I love this man. This man got my whole family pregnant. Barry Katz is the best Jew manager in the world. Bob Arrow ain't got nothing on Barry Katz. We're going to keep it sports related. And then 3 days later, he actually walked into your office.
No, he called
me. You and said, you're fired.
Correct.
You're fired. And did you ask him why?
Yeah, but he didn't.
More importantly, did you refer to the roast and his meltdown on the dais and go, I don't know if you know this, Tracy, but you were just at a dais weeping in front of Norm Macdonald. Hey, Tracy Morgan's up there just crying about Barry Katz. Apparently, if I want to really, really make it in show business, you know what you got to do if you want to make it in show business there, Cohen, is you got to get yourself one of those hot shot white Jew managers. That's, oh my God, Tracy's crying. This Barry Katz fella, he really must be something else, you know? Because Tracy Morgan's crying and banging his forehead repeatedly on the podium for emphasis, I suppose. Just sheer tyranny of will that he's still on his feet, the way he's weeping over Barry Katz. Hey, someone get me this Barry Katz, and maybe I could get a sports show on Comedy Central for 4 episodes. What? Canceled? What the H? So, did you tell Tracy that had just happened?
I did something that I've never done, never did before, and I've never done since.
Flaws?
I dubbed a videotape of his segment of the roast, and I mailed it to him.
And what did the note say?
I don't remember.
You're full of shit.
I don't remember. I just know I mailed him the...
And did he ever get back to you after that?
Yeah, we talked.
I can't. It hurts my heart.
He called me right after the movie with Bruce Willis opened, and he said...
Cop Out, directed by Kevin Smith.
Yeah, he said...
His homage to 80s cop movies, very well done.
He said...
Sean William Scott stole the show, again, every movie he's in.
He said... he said to me, Barry, I'm really upset. He said, why? I said, why upset? He said, Barry, you know, I put a lot into this movie, and I don't think it opened well, and it's going to hurt me in my career, and I'm really concerned about it. I said, well, I'm flattered you called me, but it's not going to hurt you. You know, you're going to do really well, and as long as your performance is great, you don't have to worry about anything. Look at Edward Norton in Primal Fear. I don't think that movie did very well, and you don't have to worry about that. So.
Here's a segment we're going to do each week on Mohr Stories, and that is the point of the podcast where we can take a little break and fart into the microphone. So, if you'll oblige me, Barry, would you like to do it, or should I do it?
No, thank you. I'm
here's Mohr Stories with Jay Mohr. Welcome back to Mohr Stories with Jay Mohr. My guest, of course, is my longtime manager, Barry Katz, who's been fired by every living and dead member of the show.
Okay, we're going to edit all this out.
I think Buddy Hackett fired you. Like, his last words were, if you could get a hold of Barry Katz and tell him I don't want him no more as my manager, I signed with someone else. Is it true that Buddy Hackett's last words were, Barry, it's not working out?
Buddy Hackett was at my wedding. I have a great story about Buddy Hackett if you want to hear it.
I love the story.
So, Buddy was at my wedding, and Buddy had this habit of, like Ron White, of being able to get up and start drinking and not be drunk, just be like
a functional alcoholic.
Just incredible.
Or my parents, I think they also call it.
And so I had done a surprise thing for my guests and my wife where I hired the Fab Four, the Beatles replica band that has a gig in Vegas now where they're making millions of dollars. And I hid all the equipment and everything so nobody knew they were coming out. And it was it's a formal wedding and people had come from all over the world because my wife is from Russia and Australia.
It's a big house.
And the best man goes up and he starts doing the speech, and then Buddy walks up.
Who was your best man?
Martin Fromer.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
And so Buddy walks up, pushes Martin out of the way, and
Get
starts
out of the way,
talking.
Martin. I want to say a few words about the coming nuptials between Barry Katz and Shoshana Brisk. It'll be in Nagasaki where the women chew the bucky and the men say, woo, wacky, woo, mazel, good things. Where's my drink?
So he basically went on to say, nice rabbi, talking about divorce. You know,
What the hell?
because Jewish rabbis, they talk about the ketubah.
As opposed to the Catholic rabbis that are taking over Southern California. They started at St. Monica's, worked their way out to the pier, got in boats, and now they're working their way towards Hawaii and Japan.
So
Fucking Catholic rabbis.
So there's this hum in the
It's
mic.
unbelievable,
So there's this hum in the microphone. Unlike this podcast, you know that hum that sometimes happens. But Buddy, it's bothering him. He's like, "Shut that fucking hum off!" And like these people are like looking like, "What's gonna?" And he kept trying to talk again. He's like, "If somebody doesn't shut that fucking hum off, I'm going to do something drastic." And he's got a bottle of this champagne and a glass
a
in his
fucking
hand.
carafe of wine.
And he snaps and he throws the wine into the keyboard. And the
And this
keyboard
is like a $16,000 Casio, like the kind of shit the Edge would play with like 40 pedals. Basically, the keyboard that holds all of the fake Beatles,
the holy grail of the,
the
Beatles.
entire
stuff.
catalog. Like if you need that opening strum of Hard Day's Night,
Yeah.
you hit F1. Bring, it's been a hard day.
And
Like nobody even has to play instruments with this fucking
And
keyboard.
so the feedback starts happening. You know,
It would have been
that-
better if he shot George. The show would have went better if he just took out the fake George Harrison and they just covered for him. Instead, he takes his wine and throws it on the one thing that pulls the whole band back. Vocals for Get Back.
So the feedback
Fucking-
is like so loud and terrifying. Like people are just
No, we
like
did that already. Don't fart again. We already did.
people
it.
are just like losing their minds. My wife is like, "Do something, do." I have to unplug the keyboard because it's making these Beatles. It's like the Beatles are the devil. The songs are like back and forth. Because
I'm the tax.
yeah, it's like it's crazy. And I unplug it, and he stops this thing, and he leaves, and then the manager of the Beatles comes up to me and starts screaming
Manager
at
the fake
me.
Beatles.
The
for legal
fake
purposes.
Beatles.
Manager- that should have been the name of the band, the Fake Beatles.
Starts screaming at me in front of the whole group. "You motherfucker! That keyboard is $16,000 fucking dollars. I did this as a favor. You cocksucker! Now you're only going to get the early Beatles the whole wedding." And so my
there's
whole
there's no Get Back.
My whole-
nothing off Abbey Road.
No, because they used to do
No
the early.
wings.
They did the early Beatles, the Sgt. Pepper Beatles, and the Let It Be Beatles, and in full makeup and everything. And now all I got is A Hard Day's Night for like 5 hours of my wedding.
over and over on a loop, which oddly was the one button that still worked on the Casio keyboard. Was the Hard Day's Night song button. It's been a hard day's night. So let's say Buddy Hackett,
Should
who
have
did
shot
have,
George.
if he had a license to carry, Buddy Hackett did have a license to carry. He was a sheriff in like 14 states. We're still not sure how he pulled it off. But if you patted Buddy Hackett down at the airport, 3 pistols are going in the bin and going in the X-ray machine. He's like one of those guys. So if Buddy takes out one of his service revolvers and shoots fake George Harrison, the response probably would have been more like, "Oh my God, is George okay?" Like they wouldn't have yelled at you. Hold on. Uh-oh, here comes the Beatle bus. Now you've done it.
But Buddy was great. He paid for the keyboard, and
Mighty white of him.
he remained a great friend because of you and Jeff Ross. And many people don't know this, but when Buddy Hackett passed away, there were 3 people who came to the house right away, and it was yourself, myself, and Jeff Ross.
Schnoz, Jeffrey Ross, formerly, we won't even say his former name,
And that was an honor to
formerly Michael Ross.
to me. To me, that was an honor that we were accepted and brought into the home. And
What was really strange, we went that night, the night Buddy Hackett died. I was driving to, and then we'll get back to how I got SNL, and we got to somehow steer this thing into a conclusion. But I do want to let you guys know, listening, this is so much fun, and I hope you're having as much fun listening to it. And I can speak for Cohen and for Katz and myself. We're just sitting here in the Fake Mustache Studios on the West Side, and we're having a blast. This is fun. I don't know why I didn't do this 3 years ago. When Kevin Smith gave me the speech about why I should do a podcast, he said, it's like when you're 20 trying to explain to your friends why they should smoke pot. and they keep telling you like, yeah, but I don't want to get involved, and you're like, no, you don't understand. We're going to see the Black Crowes. You got to smoke pot and see the Black Crowes. They're going to do my morning song, and he's going to say, kiss me on Easter Sunday, and it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be amazing, and then they're going to go out on a limb, and then they're going to come all the way back and crash back into my morning song, and we'll be so high.